Hey everybody, Sarah here to do the ninth and final installment to our Lies Singles Believe video series. And we definitely hope and pray that at least one video from this series has blessed and encouraged you in your walk with the Lord. And we definitely will be continuing doing videos and series on our channel. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. But we'll be wrapping up our series this week talking about a lie that not just singles believe, but a lie that the enemy wants everybody to think, that because of your past that there's no hope for you. He wants you to think that because you've been divorced, or because you were an alcoholic, or because you've been to jail, or because you were abused as a child, that there's no hope for you and that God can't use you. He wants you to live in that shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, the condemnation about what you've done or what's been done to you. He very well knows that 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are made new. But he wants you to dwell on your past mistakes and hurts and to stay stuck in the past. He knows that when you're stuck, you can't move forward. And he doesn't want you to move forward into the new life that is available to you in Christ, and to experience the freedom that's available to you in Christ. But the beautiful thing is that if you are in Christ Jesus, that your hope can rest in him, in the fact that he's redeemed you, that he's forgiven you, and that he's making you new. Our hope lies in Jesus and not our works or our past. Every single person in the Bible has a past, whether they sinned in some way or whether evil was done to them, yet the Lord used them despite that past. Let's look at the story of Joseph. His brothers plotted against him, sold him into slavery, where he was lied on, thrown into jail, and forgotten. Yet the Lord used those hardships, and he became ruler over Egypt and saved everybody from the famine, including those brothers that plotted against him. Joseph was able to move on from his past and forgive his brothers because he saw God's hand in everything that happened, and he knew that it was a part of God's plan. He didn't diminish or excuse what they did, but he saw that God's purposes were greater than their sin. He knew that though they meant it for evil, that God was in control of his life and he meant it for good. And on the flip side, you have Paul that was persecuting the church. He was just killing Christians. Yet God redeemed and transformed him, and he became a preacher. He traveled around as a missionary, and he planted churches. We can see from these biblical examples, and there are many others, of how our past does not dictate our future and what God can do. And I encourage you that if this is an area that you struggle with, to meditate on 2 Corinthians 5:17, as well as Romans 8:1, that says that there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus, as well as Romans 8:28, that we know that all things work together for the good of those that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. God uses everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pain, everything for our good, but ultimately for his glory. We really need to start looking at our past as a reason to worship God for his redemptive work on the cross and his grace and his ability to transform and make us new. And the next time the enemy or even another person tries to remind you of your past, you should really thank them for reminding you of how gracious and forgiving God is, for forgiving and redeeming a sinner like you. So prayerfully, this video was an encouragement to you if this is something you struggle with. And until our next video, grace and peace.